the one Balisong to rule them all. There are only a few Balisongs that I can think of that could be your one and only. The Squid Industries Crack Kraken, the BB Barfly Barracuda, Glider Meridian, and last and certainly not least, the LDY Orion version 1.5. But that's not what you're here for, are you? You want to see how this compares to its younger, more polished, purple, younger sibling, the version 2. Hi everyone, Significant Donut here. Welcome back to my channel, and if this is your first time, welcome. This is going to be a semi-review of the LDY version 1.5 Orion live blade, plus a comparison and review against its younger brother, the LDY Orion V2 trainer. A comparison of the greatest Balisong under $100. And this. Sorry, that makes it sound bad, but I promise it's not. Let's dive into it. Anyways, let's get into the specs. Here are the specs for both Balisongs, and honestly, not much to see here as they're both made of the same materials. Both made out of 7075 aluminum, both with a 440C steel blade, both running on bushings, and the only slight difference here is that the version 1.5 spacers is made out of metal. I forgot if it's steel or aluminum. And then the spacer for the V2 is going to be carbon fiber. So this review / comparison will not only put these Balisongs head to head, but will also test 2 out of 3 changes that LDY said that they've made for the version 2. So let's go through those real quick. The first one being 1. Neutral balance through optimized weight distribution without sacrificing momentum through carbon fiber spacers. 2. Functional redesigned pivots and screws for an improved durability and tuning. 3. Functional side jibbing for enhanced grip and a more aggressive aesthetic. Let's get into the flipping experience and explore some of these claims. When it comes to the flipping of these Balisongs, all I can say is, spoiler alert, is that they both flip amazingly. I'm going to have some side-by-side footage for you guys so you guys can kind of see the comparison. Granted, it's not going to look that much different unless you actually flip it yourself. You can't really tell through the video, but it's mostly just for you guys' viewing pleasure. So for the version 1.5, LDY absolutely knocked it out of the park when it came to the flipping of this Balisong. I will die on this hill that the Live Blade V1.5 is one of the best flipping Balisongs out there. It's a near perfect balance of handle bias, where all rollover tricks and chaplains stick to your fingers and fans feel amazing, where it strikes the balance where it doesn't take too much effort to execute and only has a very, very slight wobble, indicating a good weight distribution along the handles and blade. Whenever I learn new tricks, I would usually practice on the version 1.5 because of how consistently it flips. There isn't honestly much to say about it, it's just that good. I have almost zero comments about it. So then let's compare it to the version 2 and its first claim. Neutral balance through optimized weight distribution without sacrificing momentum through carbon fiber spacers. Immediately when flipping the version 2, it is significantly more neutral than the original version 1.5 trainer, and it is definitely because of the carbon fiber spacer. Between the V2 trainer and the V1.5 live blade, there is going to be an inherent difference because it is a trainer versus a live blade. Due to the nature of most Balisongs, the live blade versions would usually be more neutral. However, because of the design of the version 2, it is just as, if not more neutral than the Live Blade 1.5. And that's crazy to me. And again, you won't really be able to tell through video unless you flip it yourself, but it's an absolutely insane feeling. The second part about not sacrificing momentum would actually be more accurate if it was not sacrificing too much momentum, because the handles do carry less momentum than the version 1.5, and that is due to the V2 spacers being lighter and spread out over a larger surface area along the handle towards the pivots, versus the version 1.5 having denser, smaller spacers concentrated in the ends of the handle. And unfortunately, that's just physics. We have a lighter, longer material and a shorter, denser material, and that's obviously going to affect how the momentum in the Balisong is going to behave. All of that does lead to a difference in flipping, as fans feel better with less wobble and requiring less effort to execute with the V2. However, it does suffer a bit in the rollover and chaplain department, where it flies out more often than the version 1.5 in my experience. And I will say, first half of the claim, neutral balance through optimized weight distribution, is that they hit that right on the head, and it is absolutely true. The version 2 still flips just as well in my opinion, but it is different. And you need to ask yourself, would you rather have better rollovers and chaplains or better fans? Personally, I prefer rollovers and chaplains more. So for the first claim, it's mostly true because it is more neutral, but it does sacrifice some momentum through the carbon fiber spacers. For the second statement, newly redesigned pivots and screws for improved durability and tuning. Unfortunately, I can't test the validity of the pivot statement, so we'll just skip that. So last but not least, we can test the claim of functional side jipping for enhanced grip and a more aggressive aesthetic. So this is unfortunately where the V2 falls short of its older counterpart. I do believe that the version 1.5's jipping is the best jimping out of any Balisong I flipped, including the Kraken, Kite Beta, except maybe the Vault Pro or the Barracuda V2. And that's because it's the perfect mix of aggression and length. If you grip too deep during ladders along the handles, your fingers will slip and then catch onto the jimping, and the location where the jimping catches your finger is optimal for spinning the Balisong around for ladders. It allows the perfect amount of momentum to carry around doing the trick, and I love it. The version 2, on the other hand, feels like a step back. For one, the side jimping, it does look aggressive, but it doesn't do anything besides look cool, because it's actually too smooth to add any grip. It looks aggressive, but doesn't feel aggressive. And 2, the jimping on the spacer itself is incredibly underwhelming. For me, personally, it lacks the optimal aggressive grip. And another point, while the version 1.5 has jimping on both sides of the handle, this only features it on one side, the outside of the handle. And again, the jimping itself is already smooth. Well, jimping technically doesn't matter, as it's mostly finger strength holding the ladder together. As you know, again mentioned before, people can still ladder the replicant and or the chab, which has no jimping and they're significantly heavier. For me, I personally still like physical jimping when I flip, and LDY's claim of functional side jimping for enhanced grip and a more aggressive aesthetic isn't something I fully agree with. It's aggressive, but it does not enhance grip. And also to mention, the version 1.5's jimping on the spacer extends to the handles, so it doesn't have these weird dead spots on the side that if you don't press hard enough, you're gonna slip. The version 2 doesn't have that. It has the side jimping, but even the side jimping's on the diagonal corners of the Balisong, not actually on the side where the jimping is, so it doesn't flip in addition with it. I personally would have wished that they kept the old jimping texture, as for me, it was the perfect bit of aggressiveness to really make it stick. Here's a quick side-to-side comparison to kind of see how it looks, and to see how, with consistent pressure, when I pull the Balisong, it sticks to the version 1.5 better versus the V2, where it just kind of slips through my fingers. And again, this leads to the question, because of these carbon fiber spacers, this is what makes the V2 more neutral and I don't think it's possible to get the v1.5's delicate texture, because I do know carbon fiber is significantly more delicate, and having really small intricate cuts can make it break easier. I will say the one thing that they got right for the jipping is how long it is. It is of adequate length. Some might actually say it's too long and has a fantastic personality. Anyways, for a flipping score, the LDY Orion v1.5 is a 10 out of 10 for me. For me, it executes every trick amazingly and fits my personal preference. The version 2 is a 9.75 out of 10, and that deduction of 0.25 points is purely from the jimping. It bugs me, but clearly it is not that much of a deduction in my opinion, because I can still ladder it pretty well, just not as good. And to me, the V2 is near a perfect Balisong. Again, I personally prefer the V1.5's flipping experience over the V2, but as a caveat, I actually still flip the V2 just as much as the V1.5 currently. And don't let this make you think that the V2 is a bad flipper. It's quite the opposite. LDY did a fantastic job of switching it up a bit, but keeping its roots as a competitive flipper with some changes in its balance. So if you want a competitive flipper, the V2 is not a bad option. All right, let's talk about value. So the first production run of the version 2 is gonna run around $80, and that's due to the experimental machining process and the multi-stage aluminum anodization. That's where you see this Joker colorway. And it's stated to be around $5 to $10 more than the mass production versions, so it lands roughly around the same price as the version 1.5 trainer at around $70 to $75. I think that's a fantastic value, considering now LDY includes a case, extra hardware as always, a massive microfiber cloth, band-aids, and a LDY screwdriver, which by the way, this is fantastic for travel. The value itself from LDY has only gotten better. So something else I'll consider into value is the build. The machining on this Balisong is a massive improvement in terms of finish and feel. The chamfers feel significantly smoother along the sides of the handles, and on the interior cutouts here, everything feels much more comfortable and smoother over its predecessor. Despite me flipping the V1.5 for a long time and dropping it numerous times, and I threw this shit into straight concrete. It's held up very well. Tune is untouched, but all the cutouts and the Balisong itself, it still feels unfinished and sharp. Between these two, it's a night and day difference of how much more comfortable the V2 feels when flipping, and that comfort goes such a long way. I'm not really going to complain about these Balisongs that much, because again, these are both under $100, and personally for me, it's almost unmatched unless it's Nabalis. But don't forget, again, Chinese Balisong pricing are the exception, not the rule. Brandon Baker, Will Hirsch, Ethan Blade Bias, they know what they're talking about. So please take that into consideration. And regardless with how well this Balisong is made, along with the treasure trove of good stuff that it comes with, the value of this Balisong is a 10 out of 10. The value on this, I'd probably give it a solid 7. It's above average, mind you. Average is still 5. But when I first bought this Balisong, the version 1.5, all it came with was some extra hardware. It's a little disappointing. And granted, the hardware's gone a long way, but no box, no cleaning, no screwdriver. This does not meet the same value standards as this. The value for this is better. LDY has improved on that point, and I thank you for that. And that's something we love to see with any company, is that they're improving the value of the product for us, the consumer. So the question ends with, do I recommend this Balisong? That's the most important thing. Personally for me, it's incredibly sad to see the version 1.5 being discontinued for the V2. Mostly because I am incredibly sentimental about this Balisong, as it is my first live blade when I first got into the hobby, and it's rare for anyone to make a Balisong this good. To an extent, there are still some fundamental differences with flipping between these two. But after thinking about it, I'm not too upset. Between the version 1.5 trainer and this one, the V2 is better in almost every single way, except jumping. That's the only thing that's that version 1.5 trainer does better than the V2 trainer. And because the comparison of this video is between the v1.5 live blade and the V2 trainer, which, by the way, the v1.5 live blade is objectively the better Balisong between the trainer and the live version 1.5s. This V2 trainer has a lot of competition going against something as good as this. And I do know LDY is going to come out with a live blade version of the V2, which I do want to see. I don't think I'll be buying it because it's $70. It's still money that could go towards something else. Hey, but if you send me one, I would be more than happy to do a review on it and see if it can really carry the full legacy of the v1.5 blade. Other than some small missteps, I think that this is a step in the right direction for LDY, as 1, they're improving quality, and 2, improving the value at a similar/same price point. And I can definitely see that with a product such as the kite, which I would love to get my hands on, but I don't want to spend my money on it because I have bills. So, to answer my question, I absolutely recommend this Balisong. LDY as a Balisong company has had such a great influence because they make arguably some of the highest quality Balisongs at amazing price points. They're known for their incredible tunes, their really cool designs, and they also really like experimenting to see what works and what doesn't, such as the Kite Beta, which I have right here, which is actually one of my favorite flippers, and I'm sad to see it go, but this pioneered the way for the 1.5 kites. Or the Frank P, if you remember that thing. God, what an amazing plastic Balisong for $35. That's fucking insane. That's such a good Balisong for that price. And again, both of those I really liked. With Balisongs such as, again, like the Kite V1.5 and now the Orion 2 coming into the budget market, any Balisong flipper, specifically budget beginner Balisong flippers, are so incredibly lucky to have better affordable options than ever before. LDY, please send me a kite trainer to review. I would love to review for you guys. Please. Seeing how much I missed from 2020 to 2025 for the growth of the Balisong hobby, I thought I missed out on so much of the community growth and the market growth. But being here right now in 2026 and seeing everything that the companies like Bally's, Squid Industries, LDY, and the new makers coming along, like Motley Knife Co., Shattered Concepts, Wilfred Richards, it makes me so incredibly excited to see what's going to be coming out soon. There's just so many new makers now, it's insane. So for everyone out there who might feel hopeless for parts of this hobby, don't forget, people are still putting their heart and soul into stuff like this. And not only that, a lot of new YouTubers out here. I know Lemon Flips, Youngblood Flips, Balisong, a lot of cool people. So keep hope for the hobby, keep pushing through, and just be a better person for the community. And for anyone out there, if you have any questions, anything on your mind, or just want to say, please leave them in the comments below. I read every single comment. I reply to every single comment. Unless you say something really stupid, mean, or anything phobic, please don't do that. Please be respectful. Thank you so much for watching. Please take care of yourself. Take care of those that you love. Be a good and kind person. And of course, have a wonderful day. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.